Oh, Chris, thanks for coming on again, everybody. It's Chris from NJ.com. He's been on. He was on earlier in the season when we had the 53-man cut down. That's when we first started. But everybody, tell everybody about yourself, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me back, man. It's actually nice, not actually getting to do this when it's not a tornado going right by your building. It's it's fun that didn't happen.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. Oh God, please no, not today.
Anything can happen,
Oh my gosh, it's just nice looking outside the window and there's a 400-foot wide tornado going right down the street. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. But yeah, Chris Franklin with NJ.com. Cover the Eagles beat, obviously, with Mike K, and we basically give you analysis and depth previews and stuff like that about the Eagles, including this upcoming game against the Jets. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to talking Eagles with you, Matt.
So before I jump into, obviously, I have a million things I want to ask you, and I'm so glad that you came on again. And what sticks out to you from last week, where the Eagles only score 7 points? Again, before I jump out there, the Eagles lost 7-13. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was a game they threw away. They had a perfect golden opportunity to really solidify, I think, a better shot to make this playoffs, and it was squandered. And I think the team regressed in a way, because you look at the way that they were going about it. They ran away what was success with them. They were sticking with the run, and they still got over 200 yards, but it seemed like they wanted to try something different. And don't get me wrong, I saw if you're a coach and you were watching what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were doing against the Giants, probably copy the same type of game plan there, but they don't have the same personnel like the Giants. They don't have a Chris Godwin and Mike Evans on that team. So
who does?
No, she's lucky. You would have said Antonio Brown, but I wonder what happened there. But I thought they regressed in a way. They were heading on the right trajectory, and this last week's loss was definitely a step back.
Absolutely. The man who sticks out to everybody. If you tuned in on NFL Red Zone, you certainly saw the one play that's going to stick in everybody's mind. You get it down probably to the one. He did not drop a touchdown. I don't think that even if he came down with that, which he should have, got both hands on it. There's no move to be made. Literally, the job there is stand up, put your hands over your head, grab the ball. He would have got down to the one. I've asked the last couple of people. I had Football Kelly on, then I had Connor Miles on. I asked him this leading up, and then I talked to Connor before the last game, and I really pointed out. He told me that he's actually friends with Jalen, and I just said I got to call it how I see it. This is before the Giants game. I think that the Eagles need to give Kenny Gainwell those snaps that they were going to give to Jalen Reagor. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think Kenny's is a curious case, because a lot of times when we look at him in practice, he's working with some of the wide receivers at times when it comes to like the releases and stuff like that. Before he goes back over to the running backs to work on handoffs and stuff, and it seems to me they view him more in the receiver role, so it would lend credence to putting him around there or put him in different areas, like in more passing. I think given what they have on this roster, I think they're going to. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think they're going to try to give Jalen Reagor every opportunity to climb out this hole he's dug for him. I don't agree personally. I think that after a year and a half looking at, I just don't see that.
How much further can you dig into the hole? I mean, how much does it go?
It's at the foundation right now, and I see a lot of stone there, and I don't know if he can dig. It's clink, 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 but.
And I think he's an immensely talented. He has all the tools, the raw tools. If you were making a Madden player, he would be right on the trajectory to making things happen. But his production is below like Greg Lewis, guys like historically pretty bad. Reggie Brown.
Flashbacks. I forgot about Reggie Brown. Yeah, it's what you bring up that's a very good name to compare him to, because I'd forgotten about him. I mean, maybe my mind was trying to go. Yeah, don't this, but that's a very good point. I mean, he wasn't like a second round draft pick. It had the speed. It was supposed to be the good complementary player on that, and that was going to stretch the defense and make plays downfield. And he never got that. And that's a good job, man. Seriously, like that. It's a really good comparison, because you see, they've tried different ways to get on the ball. They've tried the end arounds. They've tried the wide receiver screens, and still within 4 games, you wind up
Punt
with negative
return.
yards in 2 of them. Yeah, punt returns. Like
Uh,
there's sometimes I look at them like some of those return decisions I get. I understand you don't want to let the ball roll down and probably push it too. But there's some decisions like, why'd you take that out? There's nobody around there. It's probably going to bounce in the end zone, even the
and
way
he's
the
not
ball
going
was
to do
going.
anything with it. Like he's returning them. I'd rather sometimes he fair catch for the risk that he takes sometimes to completely not make a play on punt return.
It's like it's almost like you get at least you know when you got Greg Ward, you're going to get a fair catch. You guess where the ball's going to be. There's like okay, and I think that's where I think the frustration in lies with Rager because he has that ability to break one. I mean that punt return against the Packers last season that was good, and you're thinking like okay, wow, this guy can continually do this. And now you look, it's like he's dancing around like the coverage, the punt return coverage, the punt return team I think is doing a decent job, like not committing too many penalties, and B, open up opportunities and getting back there open slots. He's just not taking advantage of it. It's frustrating, I guess is the best way to say it.
Absolutely. I don't, regardless of how well Rager was going to play. I think there was also some schematic reasons for why we lost that game. And Boston Scott fumbled the football, and Rager or Jalen Hurts made a couple bad decisions. I think also on that pick, that's Rager's fault. He doesn't break on the end. Regardless, I think schematically that this was the wrong way to attack this game. Do you think that the extent to which Sirianni's calling pass plays is that being dictated from upstairs, or is that something that he's deciding that he wants to do for this team?
I think it's more decision. I think it's more decision in his beliefs, offensive philosophies and stuff. Because when they were with the Colts, and you're looking like the last, they used a lot of 11 personnel. So they had the 3 wide receivers and the tight end and the 1 running back, and they look like they're trying to. Since Zach Ertz is gone, they look like they're really truly trying to implement more of that. And the problem is they don't have a third option now, and I think that goes back more to personnel because Quez Watkins. I think when you take away your bracket. Dallas Goedert, okay, you take that away. So you got 2 in that. Devonta Smith, who I thought got open a lot more, I thought could have been targeted a little bit more because he had Bradbury beat a few times. It just the ball didn't go his way. So I think teams are going to start to say, oh wow, we take away you bracket Goddard, you maybe shade a safety over towards side. Smith is okay. Who's dangerous enough to stop something? Watkins has shown he's inconsistent. He's shown flashes, but his route running needs to be polished a little bit more. And there's still some things there. And we talked about Rager, and we know how his struggles with that. So I think it's more personnel. Schematically, don't get me wrong. Sirianni has not been clean at all when it comes to his play calling. The goal line stuff, I thought last week, especially, he regressed to week 2 Sirianni against the 49ers with some of those decisions. I thought they should have ran the ball at least twice on that drive, especially on first down. I'm not calling a sprint right option, and Greg Ward is the main guy that's right there.
And he should have caught it.
Yeah, he should have. Yeah, that's the second time now he's in goal line, and it's cost him points. Second time now, and I just don't see that. But I think I will give him credit, Sirianni, relying more on the run now. The fact that he went to this run first type of offense, I thought that was key for his team's success.
I think, especially if Sirianni's going to go with a more pass heavy attack in the NFL now, if you want to get these defensive coordinators are getting really smart, and they're able to make things happen. So if you want to get somebody the ball, like Devontae Adams, take another Devontae, you can't lock him down because they're going to move him around the formation. They're going to get him the ball however you need to get him the ball. I think we got to do more of that with Devontae Smith. If we're, I think that he could blossom into number 1. I mean, he is our number 1, whether we think he's a great one or not. He is the number 1. So you got to get him. You got to get him the ball.
I would love them to do it. They did it against the Falcons, and I love the formation. They just haven't done it a lot lately. I don't know if it's maybe because they don't trust guys lining up in the right spots or what have you. But when they had the diamond look, they had the 4 receivers to the one side,
yeah,
and with Sanders being in the back, and then you had Smith by himself. He gets Devonta Smith 1-on-1, and even if it's a slant or an out, just 1-on-1, taking that all day. Or if you have to shade a safety because you're worried about him beating, you open up so much stuff on the other side. But it worries me if I'm looking from the outside looking in, I don't know, because you see, even last week you saw a lot. Guys were lining up in the wrong spots. They had issues going, pushing anyway, like 8 seconds left on the play clock. Yet you have Rager Watkins running across the field because they were in the wrong spot in formation. So I wonder if it's still the youth aspect of it and trying to digest a new playbook, and still lining up before you can start doing these exotic looks more frequently to try to get guys like Smith open.
Jordan Howard's had an incredible impact. I mean, such an impactful player. And I think if we had Jordan Howard, we'd win that game last week. So
yep.
It's amazing. A guy who has had the same job as, well, you have a job with the Eagles. I don't.
No, you got that. No. We're all, everybody's part of the Eagle thing. Everybody's job has a role they play in that. So you got a job too.
So with the team, you said, I think when you came on around the 53, you said you saw 7 or 8 wins. I think if I'm correct. Where are you at with that thinking now?
I'm thinking it's 8. I'll bump it up one because this team is accelerated. I think when they went to the run, they excelled. They did a lot better than I thought they would. And when you really think about it, this team should be up to 9-10, just given the way that they lost some of those early games. They should have won that 49ers game. I know they had to come from behind, but I still think there's a chance they could have won that Chiefs game. And I definitely think they should have won that Chargers game. And now they should have won last week. So they really truly should have had more wins than what they have right now. And I'll say they surprised me a little bit. And it's one of those, this is where you rather be surprised and then saying like, hey, okay, you got 10, 11 wins. And then it's like, oh, wait, we're finishing for like 2020. It is a reverse. You see them stay climb, but I think they still get about 8 or 9 when it comes to everything.
They finish 3-2 or 4-1 is what you're saying.
Yep. Yeah, I really think that when looking at the schedule, I think they split with Washington because Ron Rivera just has Washington playing well. It seems like toward the end of the season, so I think that one too. And the wild card is that Dallas game. If Dallas is fighting, like, say, a game behind or holds a tiebreaker and get to that 3rd seed, I think they go for it there. If they're locked into 4, they sit down. I think the Eagles win that game if they sit everybody down. But I think it all comes down to, I think the Eagles, if for the Eagles' sake, they better hope that Tampa Bay, Arizona, and Green Bay just go on tears, win out, and then the Cowboys are locked in 4 and they just rest their guys for the playoffs, for the upcoming playoff run.
And then the Giants will be mad at somebody else again. It'll be everybody else's fault.
They'll retire somebody's number when the Cowboys come in the next time, just like they retire Strahan's number on that. It was like they really tried like a homecoming game. It was like homecoming last week. They retired Strahan's number. They had all the stuff with Smith going on. They didn't get play. It was like a homecoming game. It was crazy the way the atmosphere was for that.
It's so annoying that they got to win that game. It's 13-7. It's because we went into the halftime throwing a pick. That's just bad juju. You don't want to then have that team do their halftime ceremony, honor Strahan. We're going to do it for Strahan, and then you're in trouble.
Yeah, that was the main thing. Like, if they got 3, even if they got 3 in that point,
right,
everything is fine. Calm down. But you gave that defense life. Especially when you have a team going like you hang around, you're at the one, you basically score a touchdown, it gets called back, and then you go down again and you just give them a ball back. Hey, we can hang in with these guys because I really think if they scored a touchdown there, they were getting the ball back in the second half. They got points there. That Giants would have been done.
They run that play very well down there, where the pick play, just run it correctly. Let's get it correctly because they're scoring touchdowns on touchdowns, 2-point conversions getting called back. All you have to do is just actually run your route. This isn't a pick. You're not setting a basketball pick. You're just running through and you're causing traffic, especially if you're Devontae Smith. You're going to bring coverage with you, zone or man. Eyes are going to go your way. I don't know why we don't just run it right.
I think on the first, if I was calling those plays, especially the way everything was going, I would have ran a counter on first down because the Giants were going hard, slanting to the run side. So I would run a counter to try to throw everything off. Then they were, especially on the second down, they were like a yard. I would have tried to sneak then because I think he would have gotten enough push right up the middle, and then I think he would have scored. If not, you just go sneak it again, line up quickly and sneak it again. But it should have at least been 3 points out of that whole entire sequence. It should have been at least.
Unbelievable. So the Eagles are now firmly, the safe money is on the Eagles not making the playoffs, I think. So, but in terms of the people who are in a better position to make the playoffs would be the Cowboys, who are, like you said, kind of slotted into that 4 spot. They beat the Saints 27-17. Then they have the bye. They're sitting at 8-4, 3 games ahead in the win column from the Eagles, pretty safely away. And if Washington were to lose, they'd be in the same position as us. What are your thoughts on where the Cowboys are right now, and what do you think that their season's win total ends up being?
If I had to think, I somehow think they get 10. I think they finish with 10. And when it comes to overall, I think the biggest key for the Cowboys when they came back was when Amari Cooper came back, because that's Dak's safety blanket. That's the best. He plays a lot better with knowing that he has Amari Cooper in that lineup, and it's a trickle down effect. With Lamb and Gallup. I mean, I think looking at that, when you have that trio of guys there, I think they do well. And I think defensively, Micah Parsons is just he's to me, he's the defensive rookie of the year. There's no way ifs, ands, or buts. He's done very well, and I think he's given a lot of pressure there, and he's basically made that defense dynamic enough, and it's tough. It's tough. I think at least for the rest of their schedule, I think it's tough for anybody to beat them from there. But I think they might be one and done. I think overall, because I think when it comes to the playoffs, I think they get bounced in the wild card round. But I think overall, I think they finish with at least 10.
Expanded wild card round is an interesting dynamic this year for the playoffs.
And I love it. Like, I'm sorry, it's not the 70s more. Can we stop calling it the super? Like, the super this, super this. Like, it's not a super wild card. Like, okay, you two are the wild cards, but you know what? You're 7th. You're a super wild card. Like, come on with
that. I think CD's on his way to being in that conversation with Devontae Adams is like the best receiver in the league. Like, he makes plays that it's like, ooh, that's a game breaker, a Tyreek, or I think CD is a lot better than a lot of Eagles fans wish that he had become. But he's a dangerous NFL football player.
You got to give credit to Kellen Moore, because who I think is going to be the Cowboys coach and wait. I think Kellen Moore's done a good job getting them in positions. He's moving them around. What you sort of wish, eventually you hope to see, like Devonta Smith being done. I think the Cowboys are doing that right now when it comes to CeeDee Lamb, and you've seen that game breaking speed that he has, and he's a dangerous place. Dangerous for sure it is, and he's helping to power that offense.
So the Vikings play the Lions this week. They're 7-point favorites. Vikings are also in the wild card chase. What do you think's happening there?
I'm going to go out on a limb. I think the Lions give them a game. I'll put it this way. I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions beat the Vikings. I would not be shocked, because they've been playing everybody very, very – they've been playing most teams very tough. Not when they played the Eagles. That was just – I couldn't believe that one. But they've been playing a lot of teams tough, and especially with Dalvin Cook out, the onus is on Kirk Cousins, who's played well, but, he's thrown some clunkers, and historically, later towards the season, he's thrown some clunkers in. Division game. I think this is a game, especially with Dalvin Cook being out the next 2 weeks. I sort of see him sliding in the back. I wouldn't be surprised if they fall all the way out.
I think they will, and I think the Lions are definitely going to get a win. There's no way this Lions. I was trying to explain this to a younger guy. I coach a lot of kids here in the area that I live.
Respect.
And he's like 16. Yeah, thank you. He's like 16 now. I coached him when he was younger, and we're talking about the Lions, and I'm like, this Lions team is nowhere as bad as that team. I watched the team go 0-6.
Oh, that was just horrible. It was like NFL bloopers every week. Something was there's a botched fumble somewhere else, is rolling somewhere else, like guys running at each other, like guys running open. Nah, Campbell just needs some personnel. They just need some guys there. I mean, he's got. I give credit to Dan Campbell in the fact that he still has them playing very hard despite the way the season's going out. So they're going to get a win, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's this week. I truly wouldn't be.
I don't think, even if he goes 0-17, which he won't. Again, he won't. There are 17 games now. You get another chance to get a win. They're going to get a win. Even if they do, I don't think they should fire Dan Campbell. I think that, like you said, Dan Campbell's been pushing them. A lot of other teams would have quit now. Yep. Guys have been done with this season.
Yeah, and that's why I truly think, like, you got the guys been quitting. They're still playing very hard, very, very hard for him. And his messaging was a little start out with was a little weird with the kneecaps
Yeah,
and everything.
we're gonna bite you.
Yeah. But you know what? He's living it up. Like they look like I don't think they're kneecap because I was waiting for that assault recharge, but as you see him. Oh gosh, now I just got the visual of somebody like their flag being thrown, Dan Campbell's going to somebody's kneecaps. But
Yeah.
no, he's got them playing well. Well, not playing well, but he's got them playing hard. And I think if they had another different quarterback than Jared Goff, I think they probably would have had at least 2 or 3 wins. Truly
Amazing where we could go long into that. That's amazing occurrence that now Jared Goff is like firmly moving his way out of the starting quarterback conversation.
Imagine if the Rams actually drafted Wentz and Goff ended up here in Philly and that trade was done. But if you're just in reverse, I think the Rams would have had a Super Bowl by now. I think they would, or at least they would have been more competitive against Patriots, and then Philly would just it'd be one of those things like you trade up for this, and yeah, it's bad. So it's one of those what ifs. Marvel doesn't even have to do that.
So Washington is a 1.5 point favorite, or no, they're underdogs at Vegas. What are you thinking about that one?
See, I'm torn on this game because I see the Raiders have gone through a lot this season. I mean, with Ruggs, with Gruden, and they started out. It's like they had that one game surge. We're going to rally around Coach Surge for against the Eagles, and about a week or two afterwards. But then I look at Washington, and they seem to find their formula of, hey, you know what? Heineke seems to be playing a lot better than he did at the beginning of the season. It's on the road. Part of me wants to say like Washington wins that game, but especially see to me Vegas is saying like, you know what, they believe in Washington a little bit too, especially with that -3. I think Washington wins that game. I truly do. It's going to be one of those things. It's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be one of those ones that's going to be real ugly. Like, why is this game still on? Why we don't need to watch this? And it's like, oh, it's the fourth quarter. Oh, that's really close. Okay. And then they get a last second field goal. But so I think Washington wins this, but it's very close. And Heineke's going to have a late drive to go ahead and win this game for them.
Yeah, this season for them is playing out how I thought. When I looked at the Eagles' schedule and their schedule, I was saying that they're both going to be in the same spot around Halloween because they just had a rough go of it to start off the season. But in terms of just personnel, they've got some good, really legitimately good players. Gibson, McLaurin.
McLaurin's underrated. That guy, he is. If he was on another team, if he was like say in New York or somewhere else, McLaurin would be no doubt about it. He'd be one of the faces on one of the wide receiver faces of the league. He's that good. He's definitely underrated. But yeah, man, the Washington is, and they're doing all without Chase Young. That's the surprising part. I thought once they lost him, it was like, okay, well, there goes their pass rush, there goes their defensive bite, but they're still playing hard.
He's their best player, no question.
Yeah, good, especially. And I was really looking forward to see what he was going to do in his second year because I really thought he was that dynamic of a player. But they're still playing well.
It's crazy. Micah Parsons is crazy good because he's edge. I think he's the best defensive player in the division. But that's no diss to Chase Young. I mean, it's just that Micah Parsons is just superstar. I don't even think Trayvon Diggs is having an amazing season. 9 picks. That's a lot of picks. Better player. I think every team in the league takes Micah Parsons over pretty much whatever edge rusher they have.
Yeah, because some of those interceptions. I mean, line is a whole lot of interceptions for the season, especially now. But some of them he's just sitting like is being in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
And you can argue that okay, he put himself in that position and he knew he could read the routes to just basically stand there and just take the pick. But to have an edge rusher, I think that just dominates. That just affects. You can affect the entire offense. And I know they say cornerbacks to take away a whole side of the field. Well, you can do the same thing when it comes to an edge rusher because you're worried about running towards that side, and you're worried about you got to take 2 or 3 guys to go toward his side. That affects the game too. So, I think Parsons is doing really good, but Young, I think Young is if I had to put it 1A is Parsons, 1B is Young. Young is good.
So this week the Niners play Seattle, a team that is, I mean, been an incredible disappointment this year. I mean, it's amazing. They're looking at 3-8. I can't believe it. They're only 3.5-point favorites against Seattle. What do you think people are seeing there, and where are you going?
I don't know. I think people were basically thinking it's a division game still, being late in the season, but I just don't see it. Seattle, we're seeing the final days of Russ there for sure. I really believe it. I think Russ is going to New York.
Yeah,
I truly do, because they won't have they'll be getting rid of Gettleman. They'll need to fill a GM, and Russ has reportedly said, remember earlier this year, that he's a future in either like being like a front office guy or what's more say in there. So I wouldn't be shocked if he goes to New York, gets a general manager where they're willing to work with him and to go that way. So when I just look at overall, I think Russ is going to still do his thing, but just checked out that offense just looks disjointed. It's not the same Seattle defense that we've seen overall. And this is more of a game where Seattle's just bad. And so I don't get that line. Was it 3? Like, was it 3? Like you said, it was like 3. Yeah, the Niners are just going to be
3.5.
Yeah, I think the Niners just take advantage of that. The Niners take advantage of the run. They'll do what they do well, do the play action off of that, and they'll win that game, because I think pretty easily too. I think they win by at least 7 or 8 in that one.
I'm with you.
It's sad to see. It's sad to see Seattle like this. It really truly is. I think we have a strong Seattle. You got a strong West, but I know Arizona's taking up the slack. But it's just didn't see that one coming this year.
It's a changing of the guard. The moment when the 7-9 Seattle slipped into the playoff, from that era started when they slipped in, and then they had that Marshawn run. And I think now that time frame, that's a long window.
It's long.
They should have had 2.
If running and give it to Marshawn, that's all they had to do. Give it to Marshawn. Nah, let's throw it here.
10 years, you get 1. I think most teams still take it, but a lot of this hasn't been capitalized on. Got to say that.
Tell me about it, because look at I mean, heck, I think that a lot of Eagles people around Philadelphia would take at least 1 out of those 5 NFC Championship appearances. They would have taken at least 1. I know Super Bowl 39 should have won, but that's a whole nother reason I think that was a loss. But Spygate. But because of everything else. But
I'm saying
they should that year. I think they could have beaten the Patriots that first year. Well, the first NFC loss when they lost to the Rams. I thought they could have been. They definitely could have been the one they lost to the Panthers. That was another year they should have. Actually, not the Panthers. I apologize.
They Panthers,
Tampa Bay won, the Buccaneers, the one that they played when on
Buccaneers
with
that
the
was
Raiders.
The most heartbreaking. As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, that's the most heartbreaking game.
That was the coronation. You win the NFC, you win the NFC, you win that game. You close down the vet. You win the Super Bowl. You get the first Super Bowl in the franchise. But that was just, that was bad. They should have had that one. But so I think Eagles fans can know what the Seahawks fans are going through right now when it comes to that era, disappointing eras.
Absolutely. But at least they won't trade. They're not going to trade Russ in the division. That hurts.
If they trade him on Easter, they trade him on Easter, I'm done. we don't need the tweet going, he has risen from anybody else, stuff like that. That whole sequence was weird, but it's gonna be weird. I can't wait for Seahawks, not New York. I hope they play next year.
That's not fun for us though, because I think he makes the Giants automatic contender in this division for sure.
Yeah,
like some players.
That's why I don't get the whole talk about Russ coming to the Eagles, because I see if the Eagles had all the pieces in place and all they needed the quarterback, okay, the issues. I think the Giants can quickly get an offensive line. They see 1 or 2 guys, and you can sign those as free agents. I think they have enough cap space to do that. Pretty much, they can just say, "Hey, we got your weapons around here. Just show up and learn our system." Okay, and it's there. That's why the Giants also makes more sense than the Eagles anyway. But
absolutely, I'm with you. I'm with you. So Falcons play at home. 10.5-point dogs. Ooh, that's a lot of points.
That's another division game where there's a lot of points. That's just part of me. I don't know what's going on with the Buccaneers right now, because they fall behind early, but they find because they have Brady, they find a way to come back and win and come from behind. And there's no Antonio Brown. You don't have him for the next couple of games. So, but you have Godwin and Edwards, and Godwin to me, he struggled last week. So, but the thing I think for the Buccaneers would be a palate cleanser is the Falcons, because you don't have Calvin Ridley playing there. The Falcons offense is starting to gain a little bit of traction, but that defense is just bad. I just don't see any redeeming qualities about the Falcons defense. So I could see it being a cover, barely, but it could be I can see the Buccaneers cover, but I can see something happening late in the fourth quarter where the Falcons drive down like with 4 minutes left, get that. It's like the Buccaneers. I can see right now, Buccaneers are up 17, 4 minutes left. This Falcons score a touchdown, and then they get the 2-point conversion, and then people were in Vegas and everywhere else with their phones looking at their apps and go, "Oh, great, there goes money. There's my parlay." But I think Buccaneers, I think will definitely win that game.
We're seeing the last day. We need to be seeing the last days of Matt Ryan in Atlanta too.
Yeah,
he's just a slightly above average quarterback. That's just who he is, and he's not that MVP guy. He just is a very good average quarterback.
I think when you look, and it was overlooked, I think, during those years when Atlanta was really good, how good the defense actually held them in, because it was not so much that they were dominant, but it was enough that they basically bend enough that it didn't break all that much to allow them to allow that offense to keep going. And age is catching up to everybody. I mean, when you look at Roethlisberger now. I mean, Eli's gone. You look at Roethlisberger now; he's struggling. Everybody from that draft class now, they're just age catches up with everybody, and he's struggling. That's why I'm really shocked that Atlanta didn't take a quarterback in this last draft in the first round, because I know there's loyalty to him. I know he's done a lot for that franchise. He's done a lot in that community down there in Atlanta. But anybody who I remember in high school going is still playing now, and he's still looking that way too. Yeah, it's bad.
And if you can get 2 first-round picks for Stafford, you can get a nice package. I don't know what the package exactly looks like, but you can get a package for Matt Ryan if you can get 2 first-round picks for Matt Stafford and a quarterback.
I think I'm giving, if I'm a team that like I mentioned about the Giants, if I had a team that had everything else, I'm maybe giving us a protected 2 that can turn to a first, maybe, that if I'm expecting to make the playoffs, deeper in the playoffs, maybe protected 2, and like a 2-2s will probably get it done. But that one be protected, but I still wouldn't at this point in his career. I'm waiting for him more to retire at this point.
Yeah,
he's
you got to get something from him though. And it's unfortunate that these players get thought of in that way, but you know what you signed up for. Unfortunately,
it gets everybody. I mean, that's why when you look at what Brady's doing right now, playing the level he is at his age, that's why it's like it's just craziness, because I don't see that same happening for Ryan anytime. I don't see a third resurgence at all. I think he's cooked. That's why I respect Brady so much for what he's done. Don't respect him early in his career, but I respect what he's doing right now when it comes to what he's doing and what he's doing to keep his shape, so that way he can play at a decent level. But yeah, Ryan's done.
Any must-watch games for this week?
I think for me, it's at the college level. It's going on at 4:00 on Saturday, and that's going to be the American Conference. I want to see what Cincinnati, because I think that's history in the making. Not only for the fact that you'll have a team from the so-called Group of 5 be basically earning their spot into a playoff, but I think there's a cornerback that the Eagles fans should definitely look at, Ahmad Sauce Gardner, who I think is going to be a really good cornerback in this league. I mean, he hasn't allowed a touchdown pass against him throughout his whole college career. He's that good. He can be another half. And if the Eagles have a pick anywhere from 8 through 12, see, the thing that worries me, I think, is because corners are valued now, and he may go up. But if the Eagles have a pick anywhere from 8 through 12, he's a guy I think you could pair with Slay, and then you Slay and Maddox, and then all of a sudden, because I think somebody's going to offer Steve Nelson a lot more money, I think, next year. But you have Gardner with Slay and Maddox, I think you have a secondary there that's really, really good for the future.
The Eagles are going to be able to get whatever they want in the first round, because with 2 first, you can move up to 1, maybe 2 first, and a decent player. If we have to trade, you know, trade somebody like Nelson and 2 firsts, we can get a number 1 pick, so it doesn't matter who it is.
I just had this weird image in my mind of like Howie Roseman with a shopping cart, whistling 50 cents window shopper, looking at all the
Yes,
draft picks going down
yes,
the aisle. Like, well, we
yes.
can have this one here.
Let's see.
Got this here. Got this here.
It, this is, yeah, this is, he's put himself, I think they have to give him this. A lot of Eagles fans don't like how Howie does it. I think because he got all this capital, I think the principle is you got to give him the chance to make it right with all of this capital.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely give him credit because there's a lot of things that, self-included, criticize them on, but the fact they put themselves in that position to have that, I mean, that trade to get Miami's pick, that looks huge now, and for
Genius, it looks genius.
Yeah, it was great, and then the protected pick, I like that. That was a good idea too. So I give Howie Roseman a lot of credit when it came to acquiring those assets now, and now it comes to the point where the biggest criticism has come against him is making sure that these draft picks hit. And if he relies, I would say this much, if he relies on the same system like he did last year, because I look at this 2021 class and I think like, all right, this is actually pretty solid because you have your top 3 picks are actually truly contributing. When you look at Smith, you look at Landon Dickerson, you look at Milton Williams, they're actually contributing a lot. So if you can get the same type of, if you can hit on all those picks, especially with having 5 picks in the first 100, I believe they have, that's a long way towards your future. So I'm hoping he follows the same formula and listens to the scouts and doesn't make any different picks. I'll put it that way. But I'll give him credit for acquiring those assets.
No more Jalen Reagor type stuff.
No.
Pick the best players. Pick the best players.
Yep. Go buy your board early and just rely on that. Just go with your board and listen to your scouts.
It's almost like they pay people to do this or something.
They do that? Oh. Oh no! Wow! Especially in that report that came out with the report came out, I want to say the Inquirer, I want to say McLean, something like that, saying like all the scouts were saying Jefferson, and then there was Howie and Peterson apparently going for Reagor. You can't select just by one skill set itself. You just have to look at the whole board itself and take the best player available. Because if the best player that lines up on the board where they're picking is offensive lineman, okay, because you have to worry about your right guard. You have to worry about potentially center in a few years because Kelsey's getting up there. So if the board says the best lineman, that's the best players here on the board, you just help your strength. If the best player says it's a cornerback, you take your strength there. If it says a quarterback, I don't see that in that draft. I don't think you have to worry about the best player on the board where they're picking is going to be a quarterback at all. So I think just rely on the board, rely on your scouts, and let them go from there. And I think they'll be okay.
We'll see. How about the Eagles this Sunday? Will they be okay this Sunday in the Meadowlands?
If they had won last week, this was the game I was actually worried about because I thought they would still win, but it was right before bye. They would play the physical division game, and I would have been worried about this game. But having that they lost last week, I think they come out a little bit more renewed focus. I think they come out there. I think they run the ball, even if it's Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew, whoever is back behind it. I think they come out and assert themselves running the ball. And I think it's one of the things where they come and they do it early. And I think they get out to an early lead, let the defense do their thing when it comes to basically putting pressure on Zach Wilson. I think they get 2 turnovers from him, one by Slay. I think Slay gets another interception. I think the Eagles win 27-17.
Who's one player the Eagles need to dominate on Sunday to ensure that they win?
One Eagles player?
Yeah.
Oh, I think Miles Sanders for sure. I think this game, when looking at the numbers, when looking at the Jets, and you're looking at the Eagles' strengths, this game just screams Miles Sanders because the Jets have given up the most amount of explosive run plays they've given up is towards the right side of their defensive line, which is the Eagles' left side of the offensive line, which is they averaging 4.7 yards behind Landon Dickerson and about 5 yards behind Jordan Mailata. It's just tailor-made. And Sanders, most of Sanders' best runs this year have come from the left side. It's just tailor-made to run. Like No doubt about it. You protect Hurts so you don't have to drop him back as much. You protect Minshew if he's going there to drop back as much. Just give them the ball. Let them run behind those, like that 600, 700 pounds of humanity behind them to whatever appliances you want to call them, what have you. And you just let them run, and just get the game quickly over, establish it physically, and just go from there. So I think this is a Sanders game. This is a Sanders game for sure.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I hope to see it. I hope he holds on to the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't for whoever's in there, they can't do the loaf of bread thing. Just leave it out there because the Jets, Salah's a good defensive mind, and you could be sure that he's harping on him to swipe at the ball. After seeing what happened last week, swipe the ball. So ball security is going to be, they can't turn the ball over. They can't have fumbles, because if you let the Jets hang around again, you can see a similar situation what happened last week.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Chris. Well, thank you for joining again. It's always fun. You can catch him on NJ.com, probably a million other cool podcasts. He was on Bird 365. You should check that out. That's a cool show. Chris did a great job over there. So thanks for being on, Chris.
Yeah, man. It's always fun talking to you, man. Thanks for having me on. I truly appreciate it, man.
Take care, man.
Yeah.
Bye.